Hello, Pacific Trail Scouters. Mike Foltz here again with a quick update. This is my first update for the recharter renewal season here in late 2021. I have a couple of quick things. This should be a very short video, but I wanted to share this with you because there are a couple important details that you should know about getting through this process. I'm recording this on Friday, October 15th, the morning after our roundtable discussion yesterday, where we had a good conversation with over a dozen people about their concerns and challenges. And I learned a few things earlier this week that I've kind of been holding on to so I can make a digest video here for you good folks. So in my first presentation, I presented this slide to you with essentially three different options for payment. And while I thought that was true at the time, what I have learned since then, and this is a message directly from our council professionals, and it's coming through me to each and every one of you good unit leaders out there, to please use one of the two options listed first to pay National Council, either through credit card or through the e-check ACH transaction. Please, if at all humanly possible, do not expect to pay local council. Fundamentally, this comes down to the fact that we have at least 400 some odd units here in the Cascade Pacific Council, and we don't have the resources down at Council, the professional time and space to take payments from each and every one because they just don't want to pay national. The skids are greased for all the funds to go to national and for the national then to pair off what goes to local and send those back. If at all possible, please use one of those two options, credit card or e-check, straight to National Council at the very end of your rechartering process. When you push the green button that says submit, there's a submit and pay. Please use that. If there's some weird case, something strange has happened, please feel free to contact 492.membership@scouting.org and reach out to them to ask a question about what you should do. But if all possible, please do use that vector. A couple other things I wanted to mention to you, and this is a bit of a nomenclature thing. If you reach out to the professionals down at the council office, they refer to this as Charter Renewal 2022. I looked at this and I saw a couple of documents from National that reference 2021 because we're currently in 2021 calendar year. It's the end of it. We're in October. We're sliding toward the new year and all that kind of good stuff. But they look at this as we are setting up for the 2022 calendar year, so it's recharter for that. So know that if you email them or communicate with them on what we're going through right now in terms of this charter renewal process, they're going to think of it and refer to it as Charter Renewal 2022. So just be aware of that. It's a nomenclature thing. When you and I talk, you can call it whatever you want. It's okay. Another thing I wanted to bring up, and this was a great question from one of our commissioners, Lori McGregor, who's always got the best questions for me. She supports a couple of units, and she wanted to know what the membership dues are this year, just to make sure we got it correct. So here they are. For youth members, the cost went up from BSA National $6, not too much, but it is a price increase, to $72 for national membership only. So that gets you, the youth gets to be a nationally registered scout, whether it be a pack, a troop, or a crew. With BSA National Council. Now there's also an insurance fee from our local council. Understand that that's not optional. That is, every single youth member in our council is covered under the umbrella insurance that is held by Cascade Pacific Council. So that means that the absolute bare minimum for any youth member in a pack, a troop, or a crew within our council is $84. The optional Scout Life magazine subscription used to be Boys Life. Now it is Scout Life. I think it's singular. For some reason I was calling it Scouts Life before, but I'm pretty sure it's singular. Is $12. That has not changed. So CPC insurance fee has not changed from last year. Scout Life magazine subscription has not changed that fee. For adult volunteers, the price also adjusted, if I remember correctly. It is a $45 fee for any adult volunteer to be a member with a unit or district or council, to be honest. And again, those can be multipled. If you have a person in a troop and a pack and a crew, only one of those units needs to pay for that person. So that's $45. And again, the same Cascade Pacific Council insurance fee applies. So, and that's not optional. Every adult volunteer is covered under Cascade Pacific Council's insurance fee. And I want to note, to the best of my knowledge, this is still true. If you are only registered as a merit badge counselor, I believe there is no fee to do that. Recognize that as a district level position, that that person will go through and be registered with BSA National Council. While youth protection is still required, so there has to be a valid YPT. The cycle on that for our council is a little bit different. They renew in July, so it doesn't really matter if their YPT is expiring between now and the end of the year, but it's still required, right, for them to be a merit badge counselor. And they also have to have that criminal background check authorization form. And I only mention that because if your unit, say your troop, requires, let's just hypothetical example, requirement to go camping with the troop is they have to be registered with BSA National Council. They have to be youth protection trained, which is a very good policy for everyone who goes camping with our youth, and they have to have a criminal background check, another very good policy. You can get away under those scenarios with just having that person be registered as a merit badge counselor. So keep that in mind. It's just kind of a fact. So there you go. The other questions that we got at Roundtable kind of circled around registration status, how to move people from one role to another, or those sort of things. And some of them were specific to individual units. We got some units that are still looking for a chartered organization to land at, and that's a specific challenge. But let me mention, if you have a person who is either doing recharter and is currently registered in a different capacity, is not the committee chair or whatever, but they're becoming the committee chair, and they want to make sure that as of January 1st, this person should be the committee chair of whatever unit it is, or maybe it's a new unit leader. You have a new scoutmaster, you have a new cub master, and they're not registered in that position. They're going to be the new unit leader as of today, or as of January 1st, or whatever. I'm going to stick with those two for just a second because those are the easiest to describe. You're going to want to get those people in those positions as soon as possible, preferably before you start the recharter process. There are two ways to go about doing this. You can fill out the old school paper adult application form with all the same information. Let's say, for example, they're registered as a committee member, or maybe they're a den leader or an assistant scoutmaster, whatever. If they're moving into one of those two, unit leader, committee chair, key 3 roles, you can do that through the adult application. And then at the signature at the bottom, towards the bottom, is the chartered org representative. They can sign the form. You can get that into council, and that is a transition from one role to another. You can also, in theory, use the position manager in my.scouting.org's roster tool under your unit. I don't have a lot of experience with this tool, but I'm told that you can do that. It might be that the chartered org representative is the only person that can actually do that within your unit, because that's the person with the keys to the kingdom to move key 3 members, such as your unit leader and your committee chair, around, right? One thing I wanted to note, that when you replace a key 3 member, because you can only have one committee chair, you can only have one unit leader, cub master, scout master, crew advisor, and you can only have one chartered org representative. When you replace them, when a new one is replaced, that particular person that was in that role by default will shift down to member of committee. I think it's called committee member these days. It used to be member of committee, whatever. They will become member of committee. Okay. If you wish for that person to be adjusted to a different role, you can write on your adult application for that person, please shift to, I don't know, maybe it's a cub master and they want to become an assistant cub master. They want to take a step back. Done that before. Right in the top margin for Sherry down at council, please make old cub master assistant cub master, or something like that. Write a note. Sherry will pick that up and understand. Scoutmaster is the same. You want them to shift into assistant scoutmaster, just write a note. If you're using a paper application, if you're doing it on the My.Scouting roster tool, the position manager, I'm not sure exactly how to handle that. I'm pretty sure it can be done. Maybe it's a 2-step process. Move one person in, and then the second person shifts down to committee member, and you have to move them to where they want to be. Probably less important in terms of getting through the charter renewal process. of that previous unit leader getting to the position they want to be in, because it's not going to be key 3 probably. I guess it could be. You could have a scoutmaster moving to committee chair and somebody else moving to scoutmaster or something like that. Just make sure you get those worked out. I'm going to try to demonstrate the position manager here. So as with before, I'm going to pick on my own troop that I'm a volunteer with, troop 0162. Go to the roster tool as demonstrated previously, and I'm going to go to the position manager. Now I am currently noted as a key 3 delegate, and I'm a committee member with this unit. And you'll notice that I don't have anything that I can functionally do here because I'm only a key 3 delegate. I think your chartered org representative would need to get in here, and they would be able to probably click the plus, say on the committee chairperson or something like that. I can't even, yeah. Everything's grayed out for me, so I'm sorry, I can't really demonstrate this very well. I can add functional roles. I can add a new registration inquiry or something like that, but I can't add or adjust these. Okay, let's change tactics and focus on that third person within your key 3. The chartered org representative is a very, very special person, and they hold the keys to the kingdom, as I've mentioned previously. I think, in theory, it looks like they can be shifted here because the chartered org rep is listed right in the middle. If they would need to be moved, in theory, your executive officer needs to confirm that, and not only confirm that, but approve of that. And that, especially if that chartered org representative is a brand new person to BSA registration, they need to go through and have their YPT done, have their CBC authorization, go through the background check. It's a bit of a process. I'm going to recommend that you do that on a paper application, because the executive officer is the person that is supposed to sign, not the previous chartered org rep, not the unit leader, it's the executive officer. And this becomes even more interesting if you have an executive officer that's being shifted and changed, right? I talked about that last time of what happens when we have a new executive officer, and you're supposed to, according to Sherry, use that new unit application and scratch out unit and put EO and all that stuff. That's still very true. And that you might think about, okay, who's changing into what positions, and can I do this from the top down? If you've got a new EO and a new COR and a new unit leader, get the EO in first, and then make sure their registration lands and everything's okay. And you can do that, I believe, right now. You can get that new unit application into Sherry, and she can help you push that new person into the EO role. And then that executive officer can then approve the new application for the chartered org representative. And then the chartered org representative can, when they get in and they get registered and everything's fine, the dust settles, approve the new unit leader or approve the new committee chair or whatever. Work your way down that list, not up. Okay? It's going to look really weird at council if the old COR approves a new committee chair and then the COR is replaced and then the EO is replaced. What's going on here? Is it a coup? No, work your way down so everyone who's new approves of the new unit leaders and the new members. That's the way it should work. So that is my recommendation for you folks. If you have a person who was a previous volunteer with your unit, and as an example, this happened to me once a couple of years ago, a person who dropped off the roster, maybe they weren't involved for a year, maybe they were away for a while and they're back with a new youth that's a tiger or a lion or whatever, and they're ready to re-engage. If they have been off your roster, if this adult volunteer is not on your roster right now, they will need a new adult application to be filled out and submitted on their behalf. That can be done in 2 ways. Through a paper application, as we just kind of went over in a similar way.
Hey everybody, Mike from the future here. As I'm editing this, I realized I forgot to mention something. The second way that you can get a unit leader of any kind, your pack troop crew, an adult leader into your unit who is not currently registered, is to use the online application process. You can send them to your bscout.org pin, or you can invite them as well through your invitation manager. So the online application process does not work to transfer a person, an adult, from one role to another, say a cub master to a den leader or vice versa. But it does work for getting a new person into the role. And then your position manager on my.scouting.org under the roster tool works for shifting people around between roles, usually, assuming you have the right permissions. But it does not work for getting a new person into your unit as an adult volunteer. The paper application works for both. So just keep that in mind. Thanks.
They will need to prove their youth protection training is still valid. It's hard to determine if council has a CBC authorization online for them. Easiest thing is for them to fill out a new one, right? But if it's there, then they don't need that. So be aware of that. Easiest thing is just to fill out the CBC one-pager and submit that with their new application. They need a new application if they're not currently in the system. It's just required. You can't just go yank them out of the discard pile and bring them back over. There is an exception to this. And this exception applies for adults and for youth. And the exception is if you go through the rechartering process, and hypothetical example that I may or may not have experienced, Billy Cub Scout kind of evaporates for 6 months out of the year. Didn't go, heaven forbid, didn't go to summer camp, hasn't engaged with your pack for a few months, and you get to recharter here and say, well, where has Billy Cub Scout been? And you try calling the family, you try emailing, you reach out as every way that you know possible. And you decide as the person doing the recharter paperwork, well, I guess Billy Cub Scout must be gone. Maybe they moved or whatever. And so you drop them from your roster. And let's say, hypothetically, in February, Billy Cub Scout shows up for a den meeting. It's happened, okay? I promise you it's okay. There's sort of a grace period in the early part of the year, January, February, usually. And this has been true with the old tool. I expect it to be true with the new tool. You can contact 492.membership@scouting.org, our membership team down at council, and say, or call and say, hey, Sherry, this youth is back. Can we pull them out of the discard pile? In past years, that has been possible. Be kind to Sherry. She's got a lot to do, but she can fix that, and she can do it really quickly. It's a recharter addendum. They have a name for it, an adjustment or something like that. It's not ideal. We want to make sure our recharter is correct when we do it the first time. But it's possible to pull them out of the discard pile once charter has essentially, cleared and posted. There's a point in time where you kind of see on your roster through my.scouting, at least in the past, sort of the old combined with the new. It can be kind of weird. So my message to you about that is, one, please do your best to get it right the first time. But two, if something gets a little bit goofed, don't panic. It might be able to be fixed on the back end. So hopefully that is helpful for you. It's not a lot of details. I know this is going on towards 20 minutes here, and I'm sorry for that. But it seems like this is going to work. So let me know if you have questions or concerns. I'm always here to help. And until the next time I have an update, this is Mike signing off. Happy recharter. Go get on the tool here in the next 3 or 4 days and see what you see. Hopefully it works out. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you next time.